as these low-cost drones make waves during this ongoing conflict, I've got information about India's very own low-cost swarming killer drone. It's similar in many ways to what I've just shown you, the LUCAS and the Shahed, but this is called the Sheshnaag. It's a drone that is currently making headway in trials and development tests that are taking place in Karnataka. I've gotten my hands on the first new images of the Sheshnaag as it undergoes those trials towards possible adoption by the Indian Armed Forces. It is a cheap-to-build swarming attack drone that is guided by very advanced algorithms and software code that allows them to swarm and saturate enemy defenses. And in fact, Sameer Joshi, who runs the company that's pioneering these drones, is right here live with us on the show. Sameer, to you first then. Great to see the Sheshnaag making headway in developments. I can imagine how complicated it is, to get a product like this out there and develop it and test it in this manner. What can you tell us about it? Because you've got the war going on in Iran. Machines very much like this one are out there and being used in combat. Tell us a little bit about the Sheshnaag. What does it bring to the table?
Yeah, so Shiv, Sheshnaag is exactly what you have been talking about for a while. We realized that creation of that mass, especially coming from how the initial Shahed class drones and the Russian version, the Gerans, were used across in Ukraine, and we still see these effects. They're only getting more potent. We definitely see that the spectrum of weapon systems available to the Indian MOD over a period of time will feature some very high precision, high targeting platforms like BrahMos, the Scalp air launch platforms, down to the route to something more, cheaper, more available in numbers, which can be scaled very fast, and more important, which can be used as a mass to penetrate layered air defense. So that is where we started working on the Sheshnaag. Sheshnaag is largely the mythological snake, which has many heads. So this system, being a swarming system, is kind of inspired by that name. So this system is also something which can package a huge amount of explosives together in sync with similar platforms across the world. So we are aiming for a 1,000 kilometer range and carrying a large package of a warhead, which may be significant to the mission needs of the armed forces. But what is very, very, very interesting is that we are adding layers of intelligence over the same. So this is not a dumb Shahed which is coming at you. This is definitely going to be a little more smarter. The whole idea is even, minute changes in profiles kind of adds a lot of load on the defensive elements. And that is the idea. These drones as a swarm can talk to each other, plan, take decision-making on the edge, and be definitively more inspired amongst each other to penetrate layered air defenses. So this is something we see is something which India needs, and we are prepping up for the future procurement needs on the Indian MOD with such platforms.
Absolutely, and the interesting thing about this drone, and I want to show it in comparison with the other two drones that it will readily be compared with, even though it's going to be quite a bit more advanced. And I want to show you these pictures with all of them side by side. So, of course, you've got the Shahed, which is where it all began. The Shahed is where it all began. Then you've got the LUCAS, which is the American drone that's been used for the first time. And now you've got the Sheshnaag, which will soon come online and be in Indian military service. If you look at all these three drones, they look similar. They've got similar missions. They're all going to be very cheap to produce, cheap to build, and have disproportionate effect. So, John, if I could bring you in on this, because you've studied Operation Sindoor. You've looked at many of the warfare, combat, doctrinal, drone warfare aspects of Operation Sindoor. What do you think about something like the Sheshnaag, coming online in the Indian context?
I mean, I think it's huge, and I actually very interesting about its ability to be, basically communicated with it, because that's one of the disadvantages of the Shahed right now, is that it's a one-directional moped, very loud device that has no control. And that's why that vital principle, of course, of overwhelming air defenses and overwhelming the enemy, this will be a huge to the Indian military. And as my co-panelists talked about how it's been used in the past is as a first wave air defenses, and you follow with a even smaller device. But one of the disadvantages of the Shahed, if we see this evolution, is it hits random targets sometimes. It hits in Ukraine, it just gets fired at cities and it hits civilian targets all over. That level of communication to these devices and its ability to vector in, this will be massive for the Indian military, although already dominant during Operation Sindoor, and ability to hit what it wants when it wants, to further overwhelm all of those advanced sophistications. It'll be considerable for sure.
All right. Thanks very much, Samir Joshi and John Spencer, for joining me.